Hey guys, 2D Man here, and today I'm going to be discussing reasons for why I haven't been streaming much lately. Some of you guys may have noticed, most of you regulars who tuned in, that I've really cut down my streaming. In fact, I am like streaming about once a week, if that. This was a big change because for pretty much the last 2 years, I've been streaming almost every single, pretty routinely. I streamed almost every day, about 5 days to 4 days a week, and I held that pretty consistently for quite a while. I was primarily streaming Genshin for the most part. We did dab in a variety of different games, but Genshin has been the tried and true game that I've stuck with for the most part since the release of the game. It wasn't until about 6 months into the game's release that my channel actually got any kind of exposure. Back when we got raided by Fobmaster, which was a while back. And some of you guys, I know there are some of you that are still here since that raid, and some of you may remember. But many of you might not remember. And we started as a channel where we helped some people's accounts and helped with the best stuff. That always kind of started. In the summer, we tried to run a series of different shows and trivia nights and marbles and started to spice it up. But since then, it's just been kind of off and on dabbing, and I've always been a little confused on kind of what I wanted to do. But in the back of my mind, there was always something that I struggled with as far as streaming. Naturally, I'm an extremely competitive person, and I try to hide that aspect whenever I stream. Yeah, I'm extremely competitive, and I come from playing a lot of sports and competitive games. I played a lot of fighting games previously. I played shooters, but I found with just my super competitive spirit that I was very competitive with Twitch as well. And by doing Twitch, I found out what I needed to try to reach my goals. Now, keep in mind, guys, that most of my channel, I used to stream for fun in college. And it wasn't till literally the last 2 months when I graduated that all of this happened. That my channel started to pick up, and I started to put a little bit more focus on it and put some goals ahead. And there was always things going on putting me back as far as my goals, and it was really tough because I would always compare my channel with other channels, and I think this is just something that a lot of people experience and have troubles with when comparing yourself with other people. And I had ways of trying to avoid this, but just being competitive, I found that I had a limit of where I could go, and I would have to devote a ton of time and sacrifice a lot of time to try to get to where I was. And while that's just normal and that's what you need to do, once I got a job, it became very difficult, and streaming really started to feel like just a second job. It got very tiresome, sometimes frustrating when I would put in a lot of work but not see the fruit of it. There was just a lot of sacrificing time that I could have spent more so just balancing my life and other things that I could have done instead. It was just more of a hustle, and I never really wanted it to be like that. While I did still enjoy communicating and just interacting with everybody that has been here for the streams, just playing in itself wasn't as fun as it could have been. There's nothing against the game. Genshin's still a great game, and there's plenty of other games to be played. It's just at that point, it wasn't super. I don't know. I would get burnt out, but then I would have my goals that would keep me locked in for the longest part. But over time, I just found myself not having enough time, getting discouraged because I wasn't reaching where I wanted to be. It was just an endless cycle of just being in there, and I felt like I wasn't getting anywhere. I still don't feel like I'm really getting to where I want to be, and then I started to reevaluate why I even stream in the first place. The reason, for some of you may not know, but the reason why I started streaming was a long time ago. I didn't come from a really gamer family. I kind of built my own PC when I used to live with some friends of mine, and they were gamers, and they kind of introduced me to gaming. And at one point, they told me they thought I was pretty funny, and they thought that I should probably pick up streaming. And so I gave it a try, and it was just something I did as a hobby for college, like I mentioned before. So I never really thought, I remember back when I was in college, it was always kind of like a dream where maybe I could make something of it. But now that I have my real job, for anybody that doesn't know, I'm an engineer and I work full time. That I started to work and reevaluate this whole streaming mindset hobby, as it became more of just another job, and that's really what kind of ruined it for me. I am going to make a pointer that for any of you guys that are thinking about doing content creating and whatnot, and you are younger, it's most likely better for you to try it when you're younger, because you're going to have a lot more time than if you get older. Because when you're older like me, and I'm not saying I'm super old, but I have a job and I work a lot. It's just how it is. I don't have a ton of time to spend doing this stuff. I'm just going to be real with you guys. I just need to also spend time on just balancing my life, taking breaks. And so the really big part of this video is to just let you know that I do need breaks. I'm still thinking about what I want to do with streaming. In the back of my mind, sometimes I can't help but feel like most of my streams are not good, or not good enough, or I'm failing in some regard. I'm measuring how successful my streams are by views, and I shouldn't be doing that, but it's hard, and then I compare myself, and I've tried not to do that. It's tough. I have no control over it, and the one thing I've learned in my life is you shouldn't stress out about things you don't have control over. And this is definitely a regard where the only thing I have control over is how long I stream and what I do, and if I can provide any entertainment. And really, I feel like I don't really provide enough, and henceforth where I am. I do feel like a better usage of my time is if I were to move my content creating to YouTube as just making short videos where I talk and whatnot. I don't know how you guys will take that, if you guys will even like it. My YouTube channel definitely isn't very big, but I think it would be just a little bit more, probably better for my situation, and I think it would be easier for most of the people that can't even make it to my streams just because of time zones and they're busy. What will be a bummer, and the reason why I haven't moved to this before, was because I do like chatting with you guys. It's probably it's literally the most enjoyable part of streaming. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just gonna say the coolest part is being able to talk to you guys live. You guys interacting and seeing you guys communicate, and then seeing the community and you guys talking with each other. It makes me happy. That's literally my favorite part about streaming. It just seeing all the new, everybody that we meet, all the people that come back and say hi, and then all the people that, that are new, that are getting introduced, and we're all helping each other out. And that's really what made me really happy. But I don't know. I guess I'm just really devoted on the goals, and I couldn't ever get them out of my head. And I don't know. I felt like I couldn't get anywhere. I was just in an endless cycle. And so that's basically where I'm at, guys. If you're wondering why I haven't been streaming much, I've also just been busy with real life. I've had new goals with, gaining more weight, working out, getting just more active in real life activities. I'm back to playing quite a bit of basketball, which I always loved growing up, and just doing other things, right? Because this really all started during the pandemic, when I really didn't have any better time, anything else to do. And so it also doesn't help that Genshin has been kind of disappointing for me recently. Most of the characters that I either like are usually not made very good, and then most of the other characters I just don't really care about. It's a mixer match, and they just don't really add any endgame content, and that's also kind of frustrating. Then again, there are great games like Tower of Fantasy and many others, but at this point I am kind of burnt out with gacha games. I never did like spending money on the game, and I never will. And the other thing that bothered me was I didn't want to be a bad influence in the game. I love Genshin, but gotcha games are frustrating to me because I feel like they encourage spending and kind of like, I don't want to say gambling, but that's kind of what it is. And that's also kind of bothered me because it didn't, like, for a while I didn't think it was a big deal, but I think at one point I was wishing for like a bow, and I got the bow. And then somebody in chat, one of my friends, didn't even want the bow, I don't think. But then because I ended up getting it, I think they indirectly got influenced to feel like they needed to get it, and then they ended up going for it and spending some money. And I felt really, really bad that they spent money and that they got kind of pushed to that edge because of maybe me, and I felt like I was a bad influence. And so things like that, I don't know. That's where I don't want to be a bad influence. I've never wanted to be a bad influence. I want to be a good influence. That's always what I want to do. And I don't know if like playing a gotcha game is where I could be a good influence, unless I go like strictly free to play. But then you can't really be free to play because people, when you're free to play, you really don't have too much content, right? Because that game is really, you have to pay for content, and that's the real bummer. From a content creator's perspective. So like in the end, like the game, be successful in the game, I have to challenge my morals. And it's like, I just can't. Yeah. Anyways, that's another conflicting part that I also didn't like about content creating for Genshin. Other than that, I hope you guys understand. Please let me in the comment section below what your thoughts are. Yeah, I'm sorry to break it to you on some of these things. I know a lot of you guys like to tune in and just catch up. I won't be streaming as much. I won't be streaming literally as much, but I'll try to produce more videos that hopefully you guys can watch. But yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know, and hopefully I can catch you next time. All right, 2D man, over.